What's going on, guys, and welcome back. Set championships are done. So we have my top 5 spiciest decks to win, and Ursula, these are not in order because, quite frankly, I am very biased here, so I cannot put them in order. But we have first and foremost, this deck actually ended up taking down multiple Ursulas. First person I saw do it was David at my locals. It was Tall Man Purple who originally came up with the deck. It was an Amber Ruby location build, taking advantage of just in time for Jim Hawkins into locations. We see 3 Flynns, 2 Lumiere, 4 Mother Gothel, 4 Sisu. All these decks will be linked down below, by the way. 4 Tuk Tuk, 4 Rapunzel, 3 Super Goof, 3 Prince Eric, 15 overall unequals, no 1-drop spots, and nothing over 5 cost. 2 Queen Commanding Presence, 4 Card Soldiers, 4 Jim Hawkins, 4 Queen of Hearts for that draw power, 4 Just in Times, and 4 Brawls, because just in time to Jim Hawkins to an RLS Legacy, that turn 3 play usually means you're winning the game. Then Brawl is just a Ruby staple. Crazy card, really strong. 3 Underworld, 4 Tiana's Palace, and 4 RLS Legacy. So again, if you hit the just in time to play Jim Hawkins plays RLS Legacy, you move to the Legacy for free. Now Jim Hawkins is evasive, and you're getting 4 lore every turn starting on turn 4. That's just very, very strong, and especially in a format with like Sisu and with these Sapphire decks that at the time were running rampant everywhere, that a deck this fast was just too strong to deal with. The Flynn play line, the Sisus, could struggle into Bucky, definitely, but you have Brawls there, and if you can get out your big locations with some other high multi-questers, you kind of lose out on your hand, but you just try to win quickly against them. So bringing us into our next deck. This one, I didn't see her last name. She played at one of the Forbidden Mountain regular locals. Tiffany took what she had and went and won herself an Ursula. I did see that she sold it, updated the deck, and won a second Ursula. So absolutely, shout outs to you. You prove to everybody that anything can happen. You can win on a budget. This is a $20 deck. Emerald, Ruby, aggro, anti-meta aggro, 11 uninkables. Again, the cost curve rounding out at 5, but this deck does play some 1-drops. We got 4 Curse Merfolk, 4 Flynns, 4 Enchantresses on obviously into the 2s. I actually really like her. When she gets challenged, she gets +2, so she takes out a lot of threats with her. 4 Ursulas, 4 LeFous to ready your aggro characters just to protect them so you can get a second turn of questing out of them. 2 Simba, 2 Cheshire Cats, again, another card that punishes your opponent for dealing with it. 1 Kit Cloud Kicker, 1 Wildcat, 4 Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer. That 3 willpower on an evasive character is actually pretty strong. 1 Sisu helps out certain cards and deal with things in the format. 4 Donald Duck, some draw engine, multi-quester, 5 willpower, really strong, and it's cheap. 3 Hans, quest for 3, what more to say? 3 Tinkerbell, evasive, quest for 2, give something else evasive so that you could take out something like a Diablo on your opponent. 3 Pongo, 2 Prince Eric's, 2 Mad Hatter, and 4 Ray with 2 Bounce, 2 Shield of Virtue, and 2 Deville Manor. Not a whole lot to say. Like, obviously, if you notice the theme here, quest for 3, quest for 3, quest for 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, removal, 2, removal, removal, 2, 3, readies your aggro cards, discard, 2, Flynn's just another 1-drop that's also inkable. There's no shift Flynn here, so essentially that's his purpose. You either ink it late game, or it gives you a 1-drop that you can play on turn 1, so that way you're not missing something, you get a character down. And that 3 willpower, sometimes he might stick around and quest for 3 or so, whereas a Merfolk might only quest for 2. So in hindsight, sometimes the Flynn might actually net you more than the Cursed Merfolk would. We have, let's get the images up for you then. our third. Again, these are not in order. That's why the last two are the last two. Hero Aggro, Amber, Sapphire. Kyle K was the one who piloted this and got his Ursula. We see, I'm pretty sure he took first place even too. 11 unequals, just like the last two. The cost curve stops at 5. And just like the last one, we are playing 12 one-drop cards. So 4 Kita, 4 Lilo, again being aggro. 2 Piglet, again being aggro. When you have multiple characters, it gains 2 lore, quest for 3. 4 Simba, because he's a bodyguard, that's just pretty strong. 4 Aurora, not only does she quest for 2, it offers a shift line into the Aurora that gives your other characters ward, which is really strong. Then we have 4 Anna, where if you have another hero in play, this character gets +1. Guess what? You have a lot of characters, so usually it's going to have +1. She has 4 willpower, and she's going to quest for 2. That is actually really, really strong in a 4 willpower character. Then we have a few more bodyguards. We got 4 Donald Duck, 2 Baloos. I like the ratios a lot. That's what I had my son play with his Lemon Lime aggro deck. Donald Duck is the best bodyguard in Amber right now. Baloo, still really strong, but definitely not as good as Donald. Then we got Hans. And when you play it, if you have a princess or a queen, which, I mean, if we go through the deck and look, there's a pretty good chance that you get 1 lore. So it's a way to get a lore guaranteed right away, then and there. Don't give your opponent any chance to respond. Similar to a Merlin Goat. Playing it at 4, also 2 willpower to quest, 2 lore to quest is pretty strong. 2 Judy Hops, not only is she item removal with potential to draw, or you let your opponent draw, but she quests for 2. Mickey helping you ramp. Rapunzel therein is 2. Obviously, she's really good to draw cards. And 5 willpower, once again, with a multi-quester we've already established is pretty strong. Then we get to some of the cards that you're really trying. Anna. So, not a Floodborn, but when this character quests, your other hero characters get +1 lore this turn. She quests for 2, has 4 willpower, and again, all your heroes get +1 lore this turn. And, well, that's almost your entire deck. Hans is a villain, but the majority of your deck are heroes. We do see 1 Sisu, 2 Kita, and then 3 of those apologies for that. It is getting late, and I've been talking way too much. But 3 Aurora Dreaming Guardians. So shift 3, you can play the other Aurora on 2. You can play this Aurora then on 3 if you will, and all your other characters gain ward. That's really strong because now if they have like Along Came Zeus, they have to Zeus the Aurora just so they can use Strength of the Raging Fire, so they can use Storm Rage on, things like that on your other characters, assuming you don't come back with another Aurora. Grab Your Swords, unfortunately, does not care if they have ward, but she's very strong, and if you get out 2 Auroras, well, then the Aurora gives the other Aurora ward, and now everything truly has ward. 4 Develop Your Brains for consistency. 99 Puppies as a one of, so you just another way to gain that passive or that instant lore, kind of like the Hans. 2 Bare Necessities. 2 4 Dozen Eggs. Interesting, but giving resist could be the make or break if your character survives and you win the game the next turn. And 2 McDuck Manners. I really like the deck overall. I think that it was really neat to see, and moving forward, I kind of want to mess with it in set 5. So the next one, this is the one I had a Patreon actually take this list and get second place, get his Ursula. Shout outs to him. I'm excited to see where this deck goes. This is a deck I really do want to play with and test into set 5 and see how it goes. However, this time we don't curve out at 5, we curve out at 7. We do only have the 14 uninkables and Goofy's Super Squad. I do have a video on the deck, so I'm going to go less into depth with these last 2 because I do have videos already talking about it way more than I would in this video. Essentially, though, you want to come down with Robin Hood on 1. On 2, you want to hit Flynn or Smee, depending on your matchups. And then turn 3, if you can hit Sisu, you just apply a lot of early pressure to your opponent. You could even shift Robin Hood on 3. You apply a lot of pressure. You get very aggressive, but you can fail off into the songs, into the Ruby removal, and you don't just lose the late game. You actually have a really strong late game to close it out. The difference is you put yourself so far ahead early because of that aggro approach. And if you're into like a Bucky matchup, you really want to hit Tinkerbell on 3, so that way you can shift Big Tink on 4 and get rid of those Buckies and just minimize what your opponent makes you discard. 4 Super Goof, because the deck can get very, very close to winning against like a Sisu deck, and all of a sudden you start to stall out and you're like, oh no, my opponent's coming back. I need to do something. I need to find a way to close this game out. And they're just dropping Tremaine, Medusa, they're dropping B-Preps. They're doing these things that just put you in a really weird scenario. Well, you let them quest once, then you play Goofy, you rush into it, and you get the 2 lore that way. It's a way to get lore without giving your opponent a chance to respond before you can do it. Maui, another rush character. Beast for item removal. Robin Hood's just crazy. We mentioned the Ruby removal, so Tremaines and Medusas. Tinkerbell, very, very strong and very, very important into that Bucky matchup. Baboom and Brawl, both very strong into that Bucky matchup. Storm Rage On, very good into the Bucky matchup, as well as most matchups. Along came Zeus, just strong overall. 4 Be Prepareds and 4 Fortispheres. This card would come out for a Tragic Hero if I had 4 Tragic Heroes. Otherwise, the list was honestly everything I could have wanted it to do, and I loved seeing a subscriber take the deck and go do really well with it. It just makes me feel very good as a content creator. So the thing about Bucky is he's just always there. This is the deck that I actually piloted when I got my Ursula. Me and my son went to the event, yada, yada, yada. We've said it a whole bunch of times. Like my other deck, this one does not curve out at 5. We actually curve out at 6. So we're playing our Bucky, which means we got Diablo on 1. So you can hit that play Bucky, shift Diablo on 2. Super oppressive, very strong play line. Ursula, another discard card, just looking at your opponent's hand, getting that knowledge. Diablo, obviously, but we also played 2 Olafs to give us 6 3-cost Floodborns, and he also quests for 2, so into red-blue. It's an aggro approach. You make them discard when you play him after your Bucky, and then he starts questing for multiple, which is actually really strong in that matchup. Kit Cloud Kicker helps you a lot in the aggro matchup because that's something that Sapphire can really struggle with. In addition to that, there's a pretty good Kit Shift card. I would almost argue playing more Kits, especially if your locals has a bunch of aggro. Kit was really strong. 3 Donald Ducks. You know, he's a 4-cost Floodborn. 2 Flynn Riders, 4-cost Floodborn. So we played 5 4-cost Floodborns. Flynn's a closer. Donald Duck gets you extra draws late game when you just need to. And then the reason we played the deck, Aurora and Cogsworth, your steel counter, your ruby counter, and I was just like, okay, let's build around these 2. And then I'm like, Floodborn, let's try Bucky. And then we just, everything else essentially built itself, it felt like. And then we made changes and changes and changes and changes and changes. So maybe we built it. Gaston, consistency card, quest for 3, 4/4 stat line, very, very strong. Kit Cloud Kicker has ward, 5 willpower, shift 3, quest for 3. Again, the Kit playline, the bouncer, and the shift both overperformed so much. 4 Develop Your Brain for consistency, 3 1 jumps, 4 How Far I'll Goes for ramp, 4 Bruno, and 3 Let It Go for removal, and then 4 Popsicle for just, again, more consistency, and healing your cards actually comes up quite a bit because 5 willpower, 5 willpower, 4 willpower, 5 willpower, 5 willpower, 4 willpower. You get the point. There's a lot of opportunity here to heal them where something like Nothing to Hide just didn't quite feel as good. But these are the 5 spiciest decks, I thought, for set championships. Brooms was one that almost made the cut. There's an Amber Amethyst list that almost made the cut. But again, at the end of the day, maybe I'm a little bit biased because one was me and one was a deck that I put together and had somebody have faith in it and tried it out and did really, really well with it. But anyway, these 5 decks showed up, showed out, and confused the heck out of people, which is one of the great things about this game. Let me know what you think about them. Which one was your favorite? Links down below for each deck. And if you go a little bit further, you can comment, you can like, you can subscribe. I mean, those last 2 things are actually above the comments and above the description. Anyway, I'm done rambling. Thanks for watching. Take care.